Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, spring training's underway for the Yankees, and to discuss that is a fellow Yankee fan, Kassem. He's the host of his own show on YouTube, the KASS TALK SHOW, and is here to join us now. Hi, Kassem. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, James. Pretty nice to meeting you.
Now, people can follow you on YouTube because you have the KASS TALK SHOw, as well as follow you on Instagram at KASS TALK. So now you're a Yankee fan, but you're based out of Detroit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So are you from New York? You moved out there, or are you just native Michigan-y?
No, native Michigan. I was born here in Michigan. I've been living here all my life. I'm Lebanese, Muslim, but I've been a diehard Yankee fan since 1990. Sports has always been a passion in my life. So, a big diehard baseball fan, basketball, and football.
Well, now, what made you, you're in Michigan, but what made you gravitate towards the Yankees?
The honest truth, my favorite Yankee when I would start watching him was actually Don Mattingly. I loved his style of game. He was a great first baseman. I'm hoping for him to get into the Hall of Fame because I really believe he deserved it. I also believe that he deserved the championship, but because of the strike year of 1994, they didn't get that chance. And he had an incredible year, Hall of Fame career, and it would have looked great for him to win that World Series championship.
Yeah, man. Of course, I always feel bad for him because, he never got really that opportunity. I mean, only got that one opportunity in '95, and it was at least cool to see him hit that home run. I think it was game two. Him and Ruben Sierra went back to back, but yeah, I just think unfortunately, he just lost too many years towards the end there, just in terms of, the batting average went down a little bit, the power went down a bit. I don't know if he'll ever get there, but yeah, it is kind of sad that he probably not getting the Hall of Fame, and B, never really got a chance to at least, play maybe with that '96 World Series team or something like that.
That is true. I believe the '95 team wasn't really talented. I was a big fan of Buck Showalter. I think he did a pretty good job with the young guys and what Bob Watson did, Gene McMichael, and bringing up the young guys. But to get that fair shot in '96 when Joe Torre came, a lot of people didn't know about Joe Torre, and he didn't win many places where he went. He was a good baseball player, but as a manager, he didn't really succeed, not with the Mets or the Cardinals, and I think the Braves, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
And the bad part with Buck Showalter, he actually got, you would say snake bit twice because he kind of developed all these young Yankee players. Then he leaves and Torrey gets the championships. Same thing happened to him in Arizona. He kind of developed, some of those Arizona players, but then Bob Brunley takes over and Bob Brunley gets the World Series. So yeah, Buck Showalter's always, he's kind of like he develops these teams and then but he's never there for the championship. He always kind of, falls on the short end of the stick.
Yeah, exactly. And he's good at rebuilding teams. He reminds me of a little bit of, in basketball, like Pat Riley. In NFL, my favorite coaches were, Pat Riley from basketball and Bill Parcells from the New York Giants. Like these guys, they would build it, and they had championship caliber teams to where, but they made them better. He took them, to the next step, and that's what Showalter did. Now Showalter, I respected him as a man. My favorite manager of all time was Jim Leyland. I was always a fan of him. He didn't care who you were, whether you were a superstar or not. You obey by his rules, you play by his game, and if he liked you and he saw talent in you, he keeps you. If he didn't, he'll tell you, hey, better luck next time. I remember the incident with Barry Bonds when he had the argument with a pitching coach and how he went at it with some of his coach with Andy Van Slyke, and he got in Barry Bonds' face. It's like, well, pack your stuff and get the heck out of here because you're not the only one on this team, and I respected that.
No, he's definitely an old school manager, and plus, just kind of see like those old pictures of him actually smoking in the dugout, which is kind of something,
that's true.
Casey Stengel used to do back in the day. So you have your your podcast show, KASS TALK SHOW you started. So I mean, it seems like you're a Yankee fan, but it is general baseball. Like, how do you try to shape the show?
Well, what I try to do is I started it new. I'm just doing it by phone. My wife helps me out. I have that passion of baseball where I do my predictions. I give team by team breakdown, what I think is going to happen, who finishes in the standings, who's going to be the best team from each, from each league, who will win the division. And what I was looking at mostly was, the award winners, who was going to be my MVP. I just look at and I break down everything. I mean, it's not long. It's probably 15 maybe minutes long, but I try to do my best. I'm not the high technician guy that are sponsored by people. I just did it on my own and decided let me just start something.
Cool. And I mean, just going for this 2021 season, are you planning on doing any different or new or kind of bring a different angle to, your presentation?
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm gonna try to start hopefully by next week. Start breaking down the teams one by one, and hopefully it'll bring more attention to the people that like to watch the show and give their intakes, and questions and answers. I'm excited for it. I just decided to get started, and hopefully turns out good. If somebody likes it, they like it. If somebody wants to give me input on how to do better, I appreciate the advice. Some people are giving me advice, and I'm just doing the best I can, to be honest with you.
I was glad to hear. And again, people can catch you on YouTube. Again, the KASS, KASS
Yep.
Talk Show. And again, always, of course, follow you on Instagram at KASS Talk. So, the Yankees all now arrived down in Tampa, pitchers, catchers, position players. So, initially, what are your thoughts of this 2021, squad?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm really excited, and I'll tell you the reason why is this year it's going to be it's a must win. I don't mean to break the ice or something, but I'm afraid that there might not be baseball next year because I'm afraid that the players' union and the owners with the collective bargain agreement, I just don't believe that there might not be a baseball season next year, and there's really a good chance that they might really go on strike, which I don't want to see happen because baseball, it's a great sport, but a lot of people will get tuned out by people fighting over millions, and you got billionaires versus millionaires, and it's not good for the game. It won't be good at all. I mean, it's from when 94, when the strike happened, it took 4 years for them to get back on their feet. With the Maguire and Sosa home run chase with the Yankees, 114 wins, winning the World Series. It really took 4 years, and it was a long 4 years because people weren't interested. They're sick of it, and I don't want to see it. I really don't.
That's a good point. And back then you did have the home run chase with Sosa McGuire with all the which we all know was PEDs and steroids. You're not going to have that this time around to save the game. So yeah, like I don't know what would save the game if they do that. Hopefully, don't get to that point and the cooler heads prevail. Especially again, yeah, if this past 2020 season, a lot of people out of work and needing government assistance. So for these people complaining over billions and billions, it would really be a bad look for baseball.
Yeah, it really would, and I don't wish that on nobody. I wish they all come to an agreement before the season ends. I know, from the news that's been broken out is that Mike Trout has been talking to Tony Clark and talking to the owners and see if they can try to hopefully work it out before season end, before next year's collective bargaining agreement. And I don't want to lose a sport. I was a big basketball fan. That was my favorite sport when I was younger, and I loved football. I love the Knicks. I was a big Knicks fan since the '90s and the Bills, and but for me, basketball died out. I mean, all these super teams and everything, it just made me sick. And football is football. It's going to have the best ratings, the best show on turf. And a lot of people was really into it this year. They did really well. I give them credit for what they did during the pandemic. And, they got this season, in a great way, in the way that ended with Tampa and Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl. They did a really good job, and that's what I'm hoping baseball does. And I'm glad it's a 162. I just wish this year they would have increased the roster spots from 26 to maybe 30 because you just never know what happens as for what happened last year.
That's a good point. But they're also bringing back some of the 2020 rules, such as, double headers are going to be 7 innings like we saw last season, as well as, if you go into extra innings, you're going to start off with a runner on second base with no outs. Now, I mean, now that we're going back to the 162 game format, are you happy that they're keeping these new rules in? And you think they should continue that beyond 2021? Let's just say there is no strike. Should they keep those rules to kind of shorten the game up, or you rather just go back to traditional baseball before 2020?
Now, traditional baseball was amazing. Now, I know why they did the 10 innings with the runner on second to try to speed up the game. I understand. Now, the thing that with me, I don't like the three batter minimum. I'm not a fan of that. I wish they had the universal DH because there is players out there under free agency that could have benefited with a universal DH. Like in, Nelson Cruz, he signed back with the Twins. I believe if there was a universal DH, I think he would have signed with another team. A guy like Edwin Encarnacion is out there. He's not signed yet. I think the universal DH would have benefited. That's something I wish because even from the traditional baseball, I never believed that pitchers should hit. I just don't think that's their game. Don't get me wrong, I mean, if fans want to see it, fine, but it's like, how they say an automatic out. But, we're all trying to adjust. We're all trying to get used to it. In every sport, everything is changing, the rules, everything. And it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I just take it as it comes along. And I was okay with it last year. Now, the expanded playoffs, I wasn't happy about it at all. I just think they let too many teams get in. They play below 500 and, they make the playoffs like the Marlins or Tampa or Houston. Houston made it last year and they were under 500 team. I don't respect that at all. I just believe, thank God they're going back to the normal format. And in 162 games, you're going to see a big difference compared to a 60-game season. When you left out 102, it makes a big difference in what teams really makes the playoffs and what really doesn't. Because in a 60-game season last year, there's some people, they had very good numbers, but there was a lot of people that struggled, a lot of them. And, it wasn't exciting, and that's just my opinion.
No, that is true because like you didn't have a full like for example like Gary Sanchez, I think he was batting like 140. But if he had a full season, he could probably at least got himself back up to maybe 250. But yeah, I think a lot. That's why I don't want to put too much stock in someone who had like whether a great numbers or low batting average because you didn't have that same opportunity to sort of catch up. And like you said, baseball is a marathon. It's not a sprint in that regard. And I totally agree. Yes, I was happy they did not include the extended playoffs because it does water down the quality where you could have like a sub 500 team get hot in 2 weeks and then win the World Series, which kind of just like really negates the rest of the season. Like, just have this one team that's had 2 good weeks.
Exactly. And, now it's the real deal. It's 162. Let the best team play out and we'll see who wins. And, the thing with me is that in April, a lot of people can get cold because of the weather, a lot of postponements, rain, snow. I mean, you could say, and then in 162, from the past years that I've been watching baseball, I've seen teams, they're out of it. And then all of a sudden, like, and a good example would be the Oakland Athletics. I've seen them 2 years in a row, not these past years, but in the previous past where they were like 10 games out. And then all of a sudden in the month of September, boom, they came back and they won the division. It's exciting. 60-game season, yes, where we're happy. At least baseball was on, don't get me wrong. But 60-game season didn't really prove anything. Gleyber Torres struggled at short. Gary Sanchez didn't do much, and Trout, had a good year. Voit had a good year. A lot of people opted out. So hopefully everybody will, participate this year. Nobody has opted out except Ian Desmond. Well, that's the Rockies. Well, the Rockies organization is kind of falling apart. But hopefully, it's going to be a great year. I'm really excited about it.
Now, you mentioned before, it's kind of like, a bit of urgency with the Yankees now. Aaron Boone is going to his 4th year as Yankee manager. Again, got a little close there in 2019, but again, that hasn't even sniffed the World Series yet. So, do you think it's sort of like, hey, if he doesn't get this team either into the ALDS, like Game 7 or World Series, he might have to look over his shoulder, or you think it's just, as long as they have a good season, he would still have job security?
For me, I think he has job security because I think the Steinbrenner family, and especially Brian Cashman, they got his back. They got his back, and the players love playing for him. So he's a player's manager also. I know last year they were talking about if he was a puppet. He just listens and then he does what he does. No, that's not the case. But, in Yankee history, you had a lot of great managers. I know Joe Torre won 4 World Series, but my favorite manager from those times of the Yankees when I was been watching since 1990 I was a big fan of George Girardi, and I hated to see him go. I really did. And I don't think it was his fault, but maybe they needed a new voice. So they brought him Aaron Boone. Now Aaron Boone's done a great job. I mean, he went back to back 100 win seasons. It wasn't his fault that, like in the words of Brian Cashman said, the shenanigans cheated. Versus Houston and Boston. Last year, I'm not gonna lie to you, James. I don't count it. I just don't count it. I don't care if the Dodgers won the World Series and Tampa went to the World Series, because I do believe in 162. The Dodgers have the team to get to the World Series, and they've shown it. In 162, I don't believe Tampa would have went to the World Series.
That's actually an excellent point. If they had more time to play each other and stuff like that, Yankees could have overtaken. No, that's definitely a good point. Now, as for the rest of the squad, I mean, you think they did enough in the offseason to put a team that obviously would be improved over 2020 and really, have a great chance to win a World Series? Or you think they left some holes or moves they could have made that, maybe going to wind up, biting them in the backside come, September or October?
Now, the truth is, Brian Cashman, I give him a B+ for this offseason, because I know they're trying to stay under the luxury tax. But for what he did, playing into the payroll and staying under that luxury tax, I think he did a wonderful job. They did the, low risk, high reward with Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, getting, trading Adam Ottavino his $9 million salary. And you added re-signed Brett Gardner, got Justin Wilson, got Darren O'Day. I mean, that's amazing. Now, if I had to look at one hole, I still say a starting pitcher, and I wish they never let go of Tanaka. And I know numbers had a lot to do with it. Tanaka was a great Yankee for 7 years. He was clutch in the playoffs. And I do believe that if they would have signed him this year, I think, their rotation was really legit. Right now, the number 5 spot is up for grabs, with Garrett Cole as your ace. Corey Kluber is your number 2. We need a rebound season. Hopefully he could stay healthy. And Jameson Taillon, after 2 Tommy John surgeries, so far, so good. He's looked in camp, from what I've been hearing, from listening to Brian Hoke, Jack Curry, and the guys from Yes Network. And Jordan Montgomery now is in his, I think, 3rd or 4th year with the Yankees. And now he has his opportunity to prove himself as a number 4 starter. Number 5 starter is up for grabs, between Devi Garcia, learning the news of Clark Schmidt being out 3 to 4 weeks, which I knew he wouldn't make the team. I do believe he needs to stay in the minors and learn. Before his suspension, I was a big fan of Domingo Germán. I do believe in second chances. Everybody messes up. I mean, it's the name of the game. What he did was unacceptable. Nobody respects it. But before his suspension, he won like 18 games, Domingo Germán, and he did a very good job. And for me, Domingo Germán, I don't think he's going to win the rotation spot, but I do like him as that swingman, as that long relief man or emergency 6 starter. That's what I like about Domingo Germán. He can be 2 key pieces, one key piece to the bullpen and one key piece to the rotation. And signing up Jay Bruce, a lot of people saying he might not make the team. I like Jay Bruce. He could play first, he could play DH, he could play left field, right field. I like his bat off the bench. For me, it's better than Mike Ford. Mike Ford really struggled, like we said. Well, we don't count last year, but Jay Bruce is a veteran. And this team, they have a veteran presence to where some of the young guys might need to go to the minors and work on their craft and let this team throughout the season with the veteran presence. It's time to win now. There's no babying nobody. We're all in. And that's what I believe.
Yeah, it's good you brought up Bruce. I was actually going to ask you about that move. Seems like you like it. I'm kind of on the fence about it because I just not sure if there's room for him, especially now that they bringing back Gardner, which that was like a kind of bit of a surprise as well. I mean, did that take you by surprise? Is that something you figured that was going to happen the whole way, or is it or do you feel that maybe Gardner is the one that's maybe clogging up the outfield now?
No, I kind of knew that Gardner was going to come back. I know everybody out there like, oh, wouldn't want Gardner. To me, Brett Gardner is the perfect backup now. Clint Frazier, it's his time to shine. Clint Frazier has that bat speed. I know he had to work on his defense. He had to work on his attitude. But Clint Frazier, to be honest with you, me watching him, it's his time to shine now. He's our starting left fielder. And Brett Gardner is the perfect backup because I mean, the way I look at it from the way the previous 3 years, the way it's been going with all these injuries, Brett Gardner is a good backup. He could play center field, left field, right field. Hicks coming off of Tommy John surgery. Aaron Judge, you don't know if he's staying healthy. In case Clint Frazier needs some days off, you have Brett to play left field. And then, you got Giancarlo Stanton in case you want to switch off, here and there. And, that's where Jay Bruce comes in also. But, where the question is, where does it leave Mike Tauchman, which I really liked. I know everybody's counting what happened last year. Maybe he makes the roster, maybe he doesn't. But I'm not one of those guys where I'm mad that Brett Gardner came back. I'm not. I'm really happy he's here. He's a Yankee. He deserves to play in front of fans. In case this is his last year, let's send him off with a World Series championship for number 28.
Yeah, and that's the one thing actually I used to say on my show last year, that if it's his last run, it's kind of a bummer that because the stands were empty. So if he does if this is sort of his kind of goodbye tour, like the way Jeter did and Pettit did and Mariano, at least he'll kind of get the full, send off that he deserved. And yeah, he's obviously not as good as a player as those guys. Those guys are Yankee, semi legends. Yeah. But Gardner he's been with the organization since 2008. I mean, he's been here forever, and he's been a steady, guy. So yeah, again, I'm not upset that he's maybe going to block other players like a Tauchman, but I just found the move kind of curious, especially when you announce, all right, Clint's going to be our guy in left field, and then it's like Boone kind of threw out a little hint that, well, Gardner might come back, and then 2 days later he's signed out of nowhere. So I think they had some sort of handshake agreement that, hey, look, try to get yourself a contract somewhere, but if not, we'll take you back on a small deal. And I think he only signed for like $3 or $4 million. So again, for the Yankees, that's not that much.
No, it's not. I think he always wanted to be a Yankee, and when they told him go look elsewhere, yeah, I think teams probably offered him a contract, but I think in Brett Gardner's heart, he's a Yankee at heart, and that's all he knows, like they say. But as for this team this year, it's championship, and to me, on paper, and looking at all the teams from each division on the American League, Yankees hands down have the best team in the American League. They should have the best record in the American League. I don't see nobody competing with them. I just don't see nobody up to their caliber to where, yeah, we could take down the Yankees, because I don't see it. Tampa, they took a step backwards in my opinion. Yes, they have the pitchers, and Tampa has this great prospect system. They know how to work kids, and anybody that comes up, boom, it's like a flash, like they say. But I don't see them overall team as better as New York. I think Toronto took a step above Tampa. Toronto has a great lethal lineup with the addition of George Springer. But their pitching and bullpen, to me, it's a question mark. And the Yankees don't have question marks. I think the only question mark for me, the Yankees, if they stay healthy, the only question mark was actually injuries. Besides that, I don't see a question mark with them for the American League.
I totally agree.
To me, it's very weak.
Yeah, the only team maybe in the Central a little bit. Obviously, you figured Minnesota is still pretty good. Cleveland probably took a little step back, losing Lindor. White Sox will probably be a little improved now that Tony La Russa is the manager. But yeah, I totally agree with you that on paper, the Yankees clearly are above the other teams and should at least be the favorite for the, to make the World Series, not only about winning it, but at least get there. Because again, and even Houston now taking a step back, losing Springer, as well as, Verlander is still going to be recovering from Tommy John. So, they're not going to be that good either next year.
Yeah, that's true. Houston, they have a good lineup. But after that, really, they don't have pitching after Zach Greinke. Their bullpen became a mess with all the guys that departed from free agency. Hopefully we could talk more and later on and before spring training, we could do our predictions and who will be what. The guy besides the Yankees, if a team that I'm really excited about is the White Sox. Their lineup is legit. I think Tony La Russa, he was one of the best managers that ever managed a game. He might rub people the wrong way, but hey, he looks in ways to help the ball club and help to improve and help to win the World Series. Tony La Russa proved that in his whole career as a manager. And now I think he's the guy that could actually take the White Sox and win that AL Central, the hump, and get to that next level. he knows what it takes to win. The White Sox, they got plenty of talent, plenty. But at the same time, there is question marks in the rotation. There are fourth and fifth starters after Lucas Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, with the acquisition of Lance Lynn. The fourth and fifth starter, nobody knows. And their bullpen, I mean, they had some injuries. We got to see if they come back and are they healthy. And I expect big things from the White Sox this year.
And a lot of people do. And just getting back to the Yankees rotation really quick, I think kind of what's been hurting them the past couple seasons, especially 2020, is that didn't really have a strong number two starter. Great, we have Cole, but now Klub is our number two. Do you have faith you're going to get really a full strong season out of him, or do you think that was kind of dicey and they should have maybe gone for Bauer, who's a lot more money, but probably health wise less of a risk?
For me, Corey Kluber, when healthy, I mean, he proved it in the years with Cleveland when he was a Cy Young winner. Now, if he's healthy and he has no setbacks, no nothing, I expect Kluber to win about 15, 16 games. Now, am I making him? Is he going to start the whole 32 starts of his this season? Maybe not. I'm thinking maybe 28, 29. Maybe they skip a start for him to give him some rest. That's why I don't mind. But with Kluber has a stuff. I think the injuries that he had the last 2 years, I think they were just fluke. It was a fluke injury. I think one hit off his, arm or something. And so, to me, he stays healthy. I think you're seeing the Kluber of old, the way he was with the Indians.
No, and if he is, I think that definitely puts the Yankees, in the driver's seat of, getting past the first round and probably the second round as well. We could throw Cole and Kluber, multiple times during the round. So, just shifting away from Yankees' general baseball, obviously Fernando Tatis Jr. signs that insane contract. Now, he's only 22 years old. So, yeah, he's great, but only 22. Yeah, man. Look what happened to the Yankees and Judge. Judge starts out good, and now he's having these injuries. I mean, you think that's a good thing for baseball? This someone throwing like $340 million at a 22-year-old, where you figure give him a few more years just to prove himself, or you're just happy from, hey, great, you made your money.
I'm happy for him. It happened with Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. I think these young guys, the way I look at it, is they never made money throughout their whole career. And you know how the baseball system works with arbitration and the service time and what's been going on. I think these guys, they took it as, I present you the contract. Oh man, I'm not going to turn this down because I don't know if I'm going to play the next 10 years. You don't know if injuries happen. So that's why, to be honest with you, if they presented a contract and it's a big amount, yeah, I don't blame them for taking it. Not one bit.
Thanks for joining us again, Kassem. And people check you out on YouTube, KASS, KASS Talk Show, and then follow you as well as Instagram, KASS Talk. Fellow Yankee fans. So again, I hope, maybe, again, it seems like we're on the same page with a lot of stuff. Say, as long as I think Cole and Kluber stay healthy the whole season, I think we're definitely looking at, definitely getting deep in the ALDS and definitely probably finally a trip for Boone to get to the World Series.
We're hoping for that.